Who are you? When the world goes silent, when the screens stop flickering, when the notifications no longer demand your fragmented attention, what remains of the man who once dreamed of building empires of thought? You feel it, don't you? That ache beneath the surface, the gnawing suspicion that your intelligence, once a gift, has become a prison. How did it come to this? How did the mind, engineered for complexity, get ensnared in the simplicity of shallow pursuits? Einstein once whispered a truth few dared to hear. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind a faithful servant. Yet look around you. Hasn't the modern world inverted this natural order? Men wired for profound contemplation, now trapped in the endless scroll. Men designed for creative genius, now consumed by the trivial, the immediate, the forgettable. Your time, your energy, your very consciousness, slowly siphoned away by forces you can barely perceive, much less resist. And all the while, a deeper question festers. What becomes of a thinking man in a world that no longer values thought? This is the unbearable paradox you live within. The more you know, the more alienated you feel. Intelligence, your greatest weapon, becomes the very blade that severs you from connection, from simplicity, from meaning. You navigate a society that celebrates the shallow, the instantaneous, the effortless, while you carry within you the burden of complexity, of nuance, of endless analysis. Every second you waste feels like a betrayal of your potential, yet no matter how much you think, how much you plan, you remain paralyzed. Do you realize? Your mind, once a compass, has become a labyrinth. And here is the truth the world has silenced. The struggle is not your failure. It is your nature misaligned. You were not made for the pace of this era, for its dopamine-driven distractions, for its synthetic connections. You were made to dive deep, to build slowly, to suffer meaningfully. But no one told you that. No one prepared you for the quiet violence of an environment that suffocates the very essence of what you are. And so you suffer, invisibly, silently, while the world moves on without noticing the erosion of something sacred. But what if you could reclaim it? What if this very struggle, this inner dissonance, was not a curse, but a signal, a fractal code, hidden in plain sight, urging you to break free from the algorithmic hypnosis and remember who you are? This is not just another video. This is the ignition of a rebellion against the shallow world that has numbed your brilliance. Listen closely, because once you hear what Einstein revealed, you can never unhear it. The loop begins now, and it will only end when you awaken. Close your eyes and listen, not to me, but to yourself. Do you hear it? That faint, relentless sound, like the slow, invisible dripping of water through stone. That is your time, dissolving, second after second, slipping through the cracks of your inattention, vanishing into a past you will never be able to touch again. You are not living it. You are surviving it, letting it bleed out in notifications, in postponed dreams, in rehearsed smiles. This is not how a man like you was meant to live. Once, you woke up with visions that burned brighter than the morning sun. But now, what wakes you is an alarm clock, not a calling. You cross off days on a calendar like debts paid to a life you never agreed to. The genius within you, once restless and luminous, now sleeps under layers of social obligation, routine, and the soft addiction of small pleasures that promise everything and deliver nothing. You used to think, didn't you, that intelligence alone would set you free? But now you know that thinking, without purpose, is just another kind of prison. You pace within the walls of your mind, analyzing, calculating, forecasting, yet each insight leaves you colder, more detached, more uncertain of what all this machinery is for. The paradox is unbearable. Your mind sharpens even as your life dulls. The more you understand, the less you live. The more lucid you become, the more isolated you feel. And in this isolation, the silence grows louder than any voice around you. You scroll past curated lives, synthetic joys, automated ambitions, and you wonder if anyone else feels it, that the world has become too fast for the slow, deep work of the soul, that the speed of everything has outpaced the speed of meaning. And so you retreat, not because you are weak, but because you are wounded in a place that no one can see. But what if this wound was not a defect, but a compass? What if the ache you feel, the hollow pressure in your chest when you realize another year has passed without building what you were born to build, is not your failure, but your call, a whisper in the dark, urging you to stop running from yourself, to face the most terrifying possibility of all, that the life you are living is not the life you are meant for. You feel it most in the quiet moments, when the world has gone to sleep, and the only sound is the low hum of your own mind, restless and unsatisfied. It is there, in that raw silence, that the truth begins to emerge. You have not been living. You have been waiting, waiting for something, or someone, to give you permission to begin. But no one will. No one is coming. The universe does not negotiate with hesitation. You traded your mission for distraction, your purpose for convenience. And in that trade, you lost more than time. You lost yourself. Men like you were forged to build, to seek, to shape the world through the architecture of your ideas. But now, you build nothing that matters. You seek nothing that endures. You shape only the fleeting moments that evaporate as quickly as they come. And the longer you stay here, the more the ache becomes your identity. The world taught you to chase pleasure over meaning, efficiency over wisdom, speed over depth. But in doing so, it taught you how to die slowly while appearing alive. You perform, you excel. Yet all of it feels like acting in a play whose script you never wrote. And deep beneath your practiced competence, there is a question that refuses to die. Is this all there is? Is this really the summit of what my mind was made for? Your days blur together now. Weeks, months, even years collapse into a single, indistinct fog of deferred intentions. Time, that most precious, most irreplaceable currency, flows through your fingers as you stand paralyzed by doubt and habit. The clock does not slow for contemplation. It does not pause for regret. It moves forward with or without you, and every hour unlived becomes a silent monument to what could have been. But listen carefully. In the spaces between your thoughts, in the moments when the noise subsides, there is still something left, a pulse, faint but insistent, a signal from the part of you that has not yet given up, that still remembers why you are here. It has been waiting, patiently, for you to stop running, to stop numbing, to stop pretending that comfort is enough. It has been waiting for this very moment. You must understand, this is not about productivity. It is not about waking up earlier, optimizing routines, or adding more tasks to an already suffocating list. No, this is about something far more dangerous and far more sacred, the reclamation of your existence, the decision to stop being a spectator of your own life and to step finally into the terrifying role of its author. But authorship requires risk. It demands that you burn the scripts handed to you by a world that does not care if you waste your mind, your years, your soul. It asks that you confront the most harrowing truth of all, that the genius within you, if left unused, will rot into regret, that the visions that once set your heart on fire, if not built, will calcify into resentment, and that no one, not society, not your family, not your mentors, will mourn the death of your unlived life more than you. The shallow world you inhabit will never warn you of this. It will encourage your distractions, reward your surface-level achievements, and applaud your compliance. But it will never tell you that your deepest longing is not for more comfort, but for more consequence, that you ache not for escape, but for embodiment, that what you truly crave is to feel the full weight of your intelligence directed at something that outlasts you. And so here you are, caught between two opposing forces, the seduction of a life numbed by ease, and the terror of a life defined by mission. One path is soft, frictionless, forgettable. The other is jagged, arduous, but immortal. The question is not which path is safer. The question is, which path will allow you to die with fewer regrets? But perhaps you already know the answer. Perhaps you've always known. That's why you've listened this far. Not because you needed new information, but because you needed permission to feel what you've always feared, that your time is running out, that your potential is decaying in real time, and that unless you choose differently, now, the story of your life will be one of brilliance wasted, not brilliance fulfilled. Look closely at the life you have built around you. The objects, the routines, the conversations that repeat like static, do they reflect the magnitude of the mind you carry? Or have they become the walls of an invisible cage, crafted from the very comforts you once sought for relief? Every man believes he has time, until he doesn't. Every man assumes there will be another chance, until the silence of one missed opportunity becomes the silence of all. You were not meant to be a spectator of other men's conquests, nor a curator of borrowed opinions. You were born to wrestle with chaos, to carve order from it, to imprint your mind onto the raw material of reality. But here you are, consuming, reacting, scrolling, while the architectures of your genius remain unwritten, your visions unmanifested, your legacy unformed. Do you feel it yet? That slow suffocation disguised as normalcy. The world around you will never beg you to rise. It will only seduce you to sleep deeper. It will distract you with trivialities, flatter you with meaningless applause, and numb you with comforts designed to extinguish the very fire you were born to tend. And yet, in the depths of your chest, there is something that refuses to be extinguished, a stubborn ember that no amount of distraction can smother. You have tried, haven't you? You've tried everything to silence it, but that ember is not your enemy. It is your last remaining ally. It is the pulse of your unused power, the echo of your real life calling you back before it is too late. And this is the moment right now when you must decide whether to keep feeding the machinery of your own forgetting, or to break the cycle, to awaken, not gradually, not tomorrow, but violently, completely, irrevocably. Because no one will rescue you from this quiet, dignified descent into irrelevance. No one will hand you back the years already lost. No one will apologize for the mediocrity they convinced you to accept. Only you can interrupt this spiral. Only you can reclaim the brilliance that the shallow world has taught you to abandon. And if you do not, then everything you are will be forgotten, as if you were never here at all. So here we are, you and I, at the threshold that no one ever prepares you for. The moment when you realize that the life you have been living is far too small for the mind you possess, that the games you've been playing, the routines you've been repeating, the distractions you've been clinging to, they were never worthy of you. They were only placeholders, keeping you comfortably numb while the clock continued its merciless descent. Time does not negotiate. It does not pause to let you gather your courage. It does not forgive those who hesitate. Every second you delay is a second buried in the graveyard of what might have been. This is the law that no one speaks of. Either you master your time, or it masters you. Either you rise to meet your mission, or you drown beneath the weight of your own unused potential. There is no middle ground. There never was. Listen, not to my voice, but to the voice beneath all your other thoughts, the one you've spent years trying to silence. It is not asking for comfort. It is not begging for safety. It is demanding that you remember who you are, a mind designed for depth, a heart made for struggle, a soul forged for something far beyond the shallow inheritance of this world. It does not promise ease, but it does promise meaning. This is not motivation. This is not inspiration. This is your reckoning. The final invitation to turn your intelligence from a burden into a weapon, your pain from a curse into a compass, your regret from a scar into a map. The question is not whether you will feel the weight of this truth, but whether you will finally allow it to break you open so that something new, something real, something eternal can emerge from within. And so I leave you with this. What will you do with the time you have left? Will you continue to vanish quietly into the noise of the shallow world? Or will you step forward, eyes open, mind sharp, heart steady, and finally become the man you were always meant to be? The loop has ended, but your real journey, it begins now. Under the weight of everything you've just felt, there is only breath now. Slow, deliberate, heavy with the knowing that something unnamed has shifted within you. Like a tectonic plate deep beneath the ocean floor, silent, invisible, but capable of reshaping entire continents above. You cannot unfeel what was just stirred. You cannot unknow what your soul now remembers. The clock still moves. It always will. But now, perhaps, you hear it differently. Not as a distant threat, but as a sacred metronome, marking the rhythm of the life you must now claim. Every second, a beat. Every hour, a choice. The time you thought you had, it was never infinite. It was always this finite, this urgent, this precious. The drip, drip, drip of existence calling you back to yourself. You may feel it as a pressure in your chest, or as a cold realization at the edge of your mind that the man you've been is too small for the life that still waits to be built. The walls you thought kept you safe have revealed themselves as barriers to your own becoming. The silence you feared has shown itself to be the only place where truth ever lived. And the ache you tried to numb has become your compass home. Remember the ember? That stubborn, flickering pulse buried beneath years of compliance, of distraction, of forgetting? It still burns. Even now, even after everything, it burns. It is your proof that you are not yet lost, that no matter how much time you've surrendered, there is still something within you that refuses to die quietly. It waits for you, not with impatience, but with a kind of fierce, timeless love. And the dripping water, that relentless metaphor of time escaping, do you see it differently now? It is no longer just a warning. It is also a promise that even the smallest, most consistent act, one choice, one step, one rebellion against numbness, can carve through stone, can reshape what seemed immovable. You are not powerless against time. You are sculptor and sculpture all at once. The labyrinth of your mind, once your prison, is also your sanctuary. The walls that trapped you are the very same walls that can lead you deeper, not into confusion, but into mastery, into the uncharted center of yourself where your genius, your longing, and your pain are no longer enemies, but allies. You do not need to escape your mind. You need to descend fully into it, and the silence, that unbearable space between all the noise, it is not your enemy. It is your invitation, the place where all things begin again, the place where your true voice, long silenced by the machinery of the shallow world, can finally speak without interruption. And when it does, you will remember what you've always known, that your mind was never meant for consumption, but for creation. Now breathe and realize that this moment is a threshold. You can turn away, forget, return to the numbness that once cradled you, or you can cross it into discomfort, yes, into uncertainty, always, but also into meaning, into consequence, into the terrifying, beautiful possibility of a life that is fully your own. If this awakens something in you, stay, like, subscribe, and let's keep decoding what the world tried to keep hidden. Together in the spaces where men like you, thinking men, are no longer silent, no longer lost, but finally alive.